Okay, this is sample number 18, affectionately called the Beast, because it puts together a lot of previous learnings, as well as we use this sample 18 for your sample 19, which is putting the sleeve in, and 20, which is putting button and buttonholes on it. So it becomes a continuing sample. These are the pieces that are in the packet with your syllabus. So look at them and then do what it says. Bodice back, cut one on fold. Sleeve, you only have to cut one. Back facing, and your front facing is actually attached to your bodice front. And you'll also notice that it says add 2 inches here. It's because the paper that it was on, the way it's oriented, we ran out of paper, and so you just have to know to add 2 inches. Fortunately, these lovely rulers are exactly 2 inches, so just put that down and add that out. Now in your instructions, your bodice front tells you to cut it separately for the 2 different sides. So if you'll cut one bodice front out exactly like the pattern, this was the pattern before I cut it apart, cut one bodice front out like that, and then cut along the fold line, cut the other bodice front with a 5/8 inch coming out, and the piece that you cut out, you're going to turn it into a facing. So to do that, and I hadn't cut it yet because I wanted you to see this, is you'll cut that 5/8 of an inch seam allowance right onto the front. Some shirt patterns, when you get them out of the envelope, the pattern envelope, have the facing cut right on, and it's called appropriately a cut-on facing, and the other ones have the facing piece as a separate piece, and it's a sew-on. There's a couple of reasons for that. The most common one that I'm thinking of is that the fabric isn't wide enough. So if you get into larger sizes, it's the fabric, even folded in half, doesn't give you enough room to cut out an entire shirt front. So they'll cut that off and have you sew it on later. If your fabric is wide enough, I've been known to lap it over and just cut it on anyway and save myself a sewing step. But also notice that you have to remember that 2 inches. And the reason for that is when we put the buttons and buttonholes down the front, we need that extra space. We don't need it on the back, so the front will be longer than the back. Okay, so the first step after I have cut out, so let's review actually back and see what we have. We have a bodice front, cut 2, but one of them is one big piece with a cut-on facing, and the other one has been cut, and that is going to become our sew-on facing. There isn't anything on here I need to mark. I've cut my notch on my sleeve, and so that's a good enough mark for that one. That's done. The sleeve, I've marked the notches, so there's the double notch, which means the back, the single notch means the front, and up here at the shoulder, I need to ease right here. So I can draw myself a dot. It's not going to show up very good. Right where that ease mark is, and that's going to where the shoulder line is. And the sleeve, after I've cut it out, I'll just put it in my tray, your tray, and save it for the next sample. Right, notice on bodice back now, we have well, let me do this one. The back facing, you just need one of these, and there's nothing that you really need to mark. It's a small piece. Bodice back, I've got a dart right here, so I need to mark a dart. All right, so the sleeve, or the armhole here, I've marked with a double notch, so it will match up with my sleeve one later, but I do need to mark this shoulder dart. So to mark the dart, this pattern has to, this fabric actually has the wrong side to the very outside, so I'll put my paper so that the paper is against the wrong side, and Draw my dart legs. One, two, center of the dart. I go back and just give myself a little mark where there's those lines. So the next step is to get facings. So this says cut one on the fold and cut one of interfacing on the fold, and my front piece says cut two of interfacing from here to here. So I need to interface, and for your learning experience, you'll cut one interfacing out of fusible. So this has a glue side and a regular side, and that's the exact same size as the piece that you cut off. And the other one, it will be sew in, and the piece that you created with that extra 5/8 of an inch right there, that becomes your pattern now to cut your sew on. To cut the sew on side. If your sew on side ends up being on the fold on this piece, then you can trim that 5/8 off. But we'll cut it out to be on this side in case you need that whole amount. So let's get a piece of interfacing on the back, and you're welcome to use either the sew on or the fusible for your back, although 99% of you are probably going to use the fusible because that's what you all like the most, and that's perfectly acceptable. So for the back facing, we'll just cut that out of there. I've gone ahead and done all the stay stitching on all the pieces and made the darts. You know how to do darts, so I wasn't going to worry about that. Darts, remember, are always pressed toward the center, so here's my center back. So they're pressed as they were sewn. Make sure you can see this. And do not press past the tip of the dart. Do it this way so you can maybe see. So there's the tip of the dart. Don't go past there. And press. Open it up. Boy, my fabric changes colors with the heat. And then press it towards the center. And this side goes this way. All right, so my back, when that cools down, is pressed and ready to go. I've got an ugly crease down here. I'm going to get rid of it. Okay, on the fronts, the piece that has the cut-on facing, I'm going to find my center front line, or my fold line. So that goes right there. And then press it all the way down the front. This will make my life easier when I'm ready to attach the facing. So now I have a nice crisp line right down the front right there. And on the other ones, just make sure that they're all good and ready to go.